Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you on a quick walkthrough on how to use the Lightroom toolkit. So this is a raw image, fully unedited, straight out of the camera. You can see right here, ARW file from my Sony a7 III. And I've got the preset kit loaded up right here on the left. As you can see, it's just a simple workflow. It goes from 1 all the way to 10. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start at the top. Start at the top with choosing your base layer. So each step has its own little descriptor right here that tells you what to do. So base layer, we make it simple. How did you shoot your photo? Did you use graded light? Did you use natural light? Or do you want a black and white base layer? So all three are very powerful. They have a ton of settings baked right into them. So this one we did graded light. So I used flash in this particular photo. So I'm going to choose the graded light base layer. The next two are set for your color temperature. I've got a couple of different options here for you. So you can do preset color temperature settings just based on the actual lighting conditions of your photo. And they have different presets for the white balance, or you can do a precision color temperature setting, in which case it just gives you more of a precise readout on your color temperature. And then you can kind of mouse over each one and see which one you like best, what looks good. For me, I want to cool this image off a little bit more. So let's see here, that looks a little bit too much. So this one right here, 3 blue, looks about perfect, about what I want. The next one is your tint adjustments. So you've got your white balance, which is oranges and blues. And then next you have your tints. That's your second part of your color temperature. That's your greens and your magentas. So same thing here, just mouse over, see which one you like the most. And then the middle is always going to be your base level. I'm kind of liking this, magenta 1. Perfect. Okay, next is your exposure settings. So that's just kind of your standard exposure, just made easily right here. Let's see, so you kind of just mouse over each one and see what you like. Okay, that's a little too bright. So I think I'm going to pop it in right there. Lock that in. All right, next is your highlight setting. So it starts with lower highlights, and then you can mouse over, and then you can see the highlights get brighter. This one, it looks like I want to turn down the highlights just a scotch. That looks a little bit too much, so we're going to sit there, right there. I'm going to lock that in. Next is your shadows adjustments. So this brightens the shadows and darkens the shadows. So you can just mouse over each one, see which look you like. Let's see, maybe brighten the shadows just a tad right there. Next is your sharpness. So I've got 3 levels of sharpness right here. As a base layer, I always just like to do sharpness 1, especially with portraits, especially when anytime someone is in the frame. Sharpness 2 and sharpness 3 can kind of get a little too crazy. They're more suited for like landscapes, architectural photos, things like that. But for portraits, you want to stick at sharpness 1. Noise reduction. So you got 3 levels of noise reduction here. Typically for all of my photos, I'll give it a noise reduction 1. It'll clear up any issues with the sharpness. It'll clear up any noise that you have. If you have particularly noisy images, go ahead and try 2 and 3. And then this next section is the editing toolbox. So you can stack these settings. So unlike steps 1 through 8, steps 9 and 10 you can stack on top of each other. So this one is remove purple fringing. I click that on every single image that I do. Optimize lens. I always click that. Essentially that automatically detects the lens that you shot the image with, and it optimizes it based on barrel distortion and based on vignetting. And then this option right here just undoes that. So optimize lens, undo optimize lens. So we'll keep optimize lens on. Vignette just adds a tasteful vignette to the image. Let's see here. 90% of the time I like to add this, but in this image I feel like it's stronger without it. All right, so then we've got enhance color as the next one. Let's see here, and you can see it just adds a nice richness to all the colors. You can see, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on enhance color for that one. And film grain, let's see, it just adds a nice tasteful film grain to the image. Typically I like to do this on black and white photos. I'd say almost exclusively I do this on black and white photos. Since this is a color image, I'm going to skip that. And then the next set of tools we have here is called the AI toolbox. So these are AI powered masking tools. These are pretty awesome. This is something that I just put into the toolbox about a couple of months ago. So I've been developing these over the past several months. These are really neat. So you got two sky enhancers. There's no skies in this image, so that's not going to work. Subject enhancer is pretty neat. Let's see what it does in this particular image. So what it does is it masks off the subject, and it also masks out the background, and it applies settings on both. And you can see it just makes her pop right off the background. Look at that. So you can see. So it really depends on taste. The subject enhancer I really love to use on wide angle portraits where you've got a lot of background, you've got a lot of really cool imagery, and it really makes the subject pop. This particular image, I think we can probably go without it. Let's see here. So I'll click that off, and then that's it. I mean, right there, 1 through 10. And you can see the differences. I mean, how easy is that? Instead of screwing around and going through all these settings and figuring out, what looks good, how to do all that. And you can see all these settings have been changed and just based off of kind of your 1 through 10 workflow over there on the left. Yeah. And there you go. There it is.